Do you have it flipped around the other way?
Yeah, I do, because I decided that my hair's gonna go this way today.
Okay.
Does it look good like that?
You look beautiful always.
Okay.
Do you want to take in what I said though?
Thank you.
No, like I want you to take it in and hear it. Like you look beautiful always.
Thank you.
I don't feel like you're living that truth.
Look, the sun is out. Well, guys, we're not happy about being right in cases like these, but if you'll recall from our last video regarding CosmicSkeptic being no longer vegan, we said, in the end, as always, what it really boils down to is that Alex just doesn't want to be.
Alex doesn't want to be vegan. And indeed, in this recent video about his community post, he says quite plainly that at least one of the reasons he's not vegan is because it's easier to not be.
Because of the fact that it is easier to get the nutrients that are required to be healthy on a non-vegan diet, which, say what you like about it being easy to live healthily as a vegan, which I believe in many cases it can be and is, it is easier to not be one. I found that in practice, despite obviously having a lot invested in this, I wasn't able to make it work.
Like, yeah, of course it's easier. It's easier to be indifferent than to be compassionate. It's easier to just go with any status quo. That's always easier. It doesn't mean it's ethical. It doesn't mean it's right.
Alex claims to still be against factory farming.
I still think animal suffering matters greatly. I still want to see the end of factory farming as soon as possible.
But it's certainly easier to get factory farmed animal products than non-factory farmed ones. You can get factory farmed fast food at tens of thousands of locations, many of which are open nearly 24 hours a day. Would Alex resort to that because it's easier?
Remember in his community post, he said he was reevaluating his ethical position on eating animals? He didn't touch on that in this recent video, but what it seems is that he's choosing not to be vegan anymore.
In practice, in my life, I found it difficult to maintain a healthy plant-based diet. That's it, really. I understand why that would annoy people or upset people.
Also, in his community post, he said that he was struggling to maintain a healthy plant-based diet. But in this video, he states, again, quite plainly, that 100% plant-based diets can be perfectly healthy.
It's not with the idea that every nutrient that's required to be healthy can be found in a plant-based diet. I think that it can. People have been asking, well, what's this magical nutrient that you can only get from an animal product that you can't get from plants? I want to clarify from the start. There isn't one. Every nutrient that you need to be healthy can be found in an adequately planned plant-based diet.
So, Alex can eat a healthy plant-based diet. He could choose to do so.
He mentions his IBS, which is certainly a very difficult thing to live with.
Now, for most of my life, I've had a particular set of health issues, just like most people have some health issues, that I must stress are unrelated to veganism. They're not caused by veganism. I had them before I was vegan. It's nothing like that. But for instance, one of the most important or relevant here is IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, which people have to varying degrees. I've suffered with it quite severely for most of my life.
A very close friend of ours struggles with IBS, and my father passed away several years ago from complications of Crohn's before there was even widespread knowledge of what it was or how to treat it effectively. So we understand how agonizing digestive illnesses can be to live with.
Now, as we always say, we're not doctors, we're not nutritionists, and neither is Alex. So again, we go to the data. And we know that people can live with IBS as a vegan. We're going to let Goji Man handle that part of it. But even Alex says in this video that veganism didn't cause his IBS.
Now, it's important to stress that I don't have any health problems, at least to my knowledge, that are caused by veganism, right? Like the IBS thing, I'm not saying that veganism causes this. And of course, even if somebody's a non-vegan, living in this way is not the healthiest way to live. You're still going to run into problems if you're not eating for a whole day and only eat like a couple of meals or one meal in the evening when you get the opportunity. And crucially, as I say, this isn't something that's caused by veganism. It's not caused by a vegan diet. It would have been caused, if it was caused by my diet, by the way that I was doing this vegan diet.
He also very briefly introduces a mental health issue that he's been dealing with, but does not go into detail on it, not that he has to or should, so we can't really analyze that. But he does mention that there were some days where he'd eat 0 to 700 calories a day for the entire day. Obviously, eating 700 calories per day for an adult male is a starvation diet that no one could sustain, vegan or otherwise.
Now, we want to be fair to Alex. we totally understand what he's saying. IBS is not easy to live with, and he has a lot of anxiety relating to food. He mentioned eating in smaller portions to avoid his symptoms from flaring up.
Yeah, especially around social situations.
Which is totally understandable, and thus he wants to eat calorically dense foods.
There are calorically dense plant-based diets out there, and given that he admits he's not a nutritionist, it seems like what Alex needed was help. He doesn't mention reaching out to any plant-based nutritionists about this, but they are out there and would love to provide professional guidance, I'm sure of it. But it seems, for now at least, Alex chose not to seek that help.
Presumably, Alex is now what Dr. Melanie Joy calls a vegan ally, or a person who agrees with veganism, wants to see veganism succeed, wants to help vegans achieve the goal of animal liberation.
Which is nice, I guess, but also frustrating. A vegan ally could choose to be vegan, yet by choosing not to be, they are directly contributing to the very thing vegans are fighting to end. How does one advocate for a cause that one is unwilling to support? It's just not as strong when the message is coming from someone who doesn't practice what they preach.
How would Alex, for example, reach out to his friend Steven from Rationality Rules and encourage Steven to live a vegan lifestyle? I'm not vegan, but you should be?
Steven's not vegan, and he came to Alex's defense when Alex released his community post, of course. Non-vegans want to see vegans fail, so they can feel better about their own choices. And Steven may just as easily use Alex's IBS or Alex's mental health or any other number of reasons that don't pertain to Steven as reasons to not go vegan.
Alex is intelligent, well-informed, and capable. But we have seen many intelligent and well-informed individuals give unsupported reasons as to why they're not or can't be vegan. It's wild to look back at Alex's trajectory, like when he debated Matt Dillahunty, another intelligent, well-informed, capable human being. And Alex buried him in that debate.
I would say probably all of the meals that you have, like in a restaurant, let's say, come from the factory farm. And if you said a moment ago that you're almost convinced that is just objectively wrong, the factory farming industry. If it's the case that every single time you go to a restaurant, that's where your food's coming from, then it's not difficult to just choose something else on the menu.
Sure.
So why don't you do it?
Who said I don't?
Well, I mean, have you eaten meat in a restaurant in the past week?
I ate crab today at a restaurant.
Yeah. So that means that you don't.
3 years later, here we are.
So, okay, Alex isn't vegan, but he wants others to go vegan, and he wants to end factory farming, however he plans on doing that. Is it better than the mentality of your average non-vegan? Perhaps. He's probably causing less animal suffering than he was before he was vegan, and yes, of course, gun to our heads, would we prefer a world where every non-vegan's mindset was swapped for Alex's? Yes. Based on the tone of his recent video, it is obvious this is not a decision he takes lightly.
But he could choose to be the change he wants to see in the world. He could actively reject carnism and fight, as a vegan, to end what he calls a moral emergency.
There's a reason it's so explosive and why so many people are hesitant to talk about it, and that's because it's what I would characterize as a moral emergency. Not only that, but I think it's the greatest moral emergency that we're currently facing, the issue of animal exploitation.
As a vegan, Alex could be unstoppable.
And that would be great if Alex were to choose to do that, but at least so far, he's not going to. Definitely watch Alex's video in full, it's linked below, and let us know what you think about his decision to live as a non-vegan. Do you agree with him? Do you agree with us? What are your thoughts?
Another thing real quick before we go, Alex showed some screenshots of the hate comments and messages he's been barraged with. We don't find that helpful, guys. When you resort to ad hominem, insults, hateful language, those sorts of attacks, you have already lost. We don't like it, we don't support it, and we don't think it's appropriate or helpful in any way.
Yeah, hate comments are unfortunately part of this era that is social media, but that doesn't mean you have to contribute to it. On our end, we find it most effective to completely ignore and not engage with it at all.
As always, guys, we want to say a massive thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And if you like this video, if you like what we have to say, and you're not yet a patron on Patreon, please consider becoming one, even if it's only for 1 month. The link is down below.
And check out our Etsy store. This is the last year we plan on having an Etsy store dedicated to this channel, at least. So anything on there, once it's gone forever.
And also, we know from looking at our YouTube analytics that basically out of all the people that watch our channel, not even half are subscribed. Which means if everybody who actually watched the channel subscribed, our subscriber count would double. And it could be a thing where you might think you're subbed and you're not. Some people have reported that they were unsubbed against their will. So just double check. If the subscribe button says subscribe and it doesn't say subscribed, if it only says subscribe, thus giving you the option to click it, please do so.
But also, I feel like half the people who watch us might be trolls or people who don't like us.
Definitely don't subscribe.
Do not subscribe.
If you're a troll.
You will ruin the algorithm.
Yes. Don't do it, trolls.
Reverse psychology. Do what you want. I don't care.
See you guys in the next one.